Welcome everyone to day one of our Global Health Impact Expo. I am so excited to have you here. Welcome on behalf of the Canadian Partnership for Women and Children's Health and our partners. Hello, Michael. Hello, Lindsay. It is so lovely to have you in the virtual studio with me. I wish I had my arms around you and we were sitting in armchairs, but unfortunately we are somewhat far away from one another, but a big welcome to you and thank you for your support. Today's Impact Exchange has been made possible through funding from Global Affairs Canada. We welcome all of our members here today. We welcome the Canadian public, and we ask you to share out what you're learning today and be present with us as if we were standing around a water cooler and chatting. In bringing this event to you, we've had to pivot as the whole world has pivoted around COVID-19. We planned this event to take place in April of 2019, and we imagined this huge exchange with booths and moments to come together and see things and interact. Of course, we, alongside everyone else, have had to change our plans. And you're going to hear a lot about that. You're going to hear a lot about the way that you as members, that you as the Canadian public have pivoted and adapted yourself around COVID-19. There's been so much tragedy, so much hurting, and so much sadness, but COVID-19 has also given rise to new opportunities. And I think we're going to try focus today and over the next 3 days on not only the hardship and what the world looks like, we're going to stare those facts in the face and talk about them, but we're also going to talk about the silver linings. We're also going to talk about the new opportunities that have emerged so that we leave these days with both hope and determination for what needs to be done next. I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay to introduce herself. Welcome again, Lindsay and Michael.
Thank you, Julia. Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Lindsay Glassco. I'm the President and CEO of Plan International Canada. I'm super pleased to be co-hosting this morning's event with Julia and Michael. Julia has just, said what we all know. COVID has just brought insurmountable, tragedy and hardship and challenges. But she's also referenced some of those silver linings and the opportunities that COVID has presented to all of us. And one of those opportunities is the fact that I think we've all embraced digital. There's no going back on the digital front. And as a result, this is the first time this conference is being held entirely digitally. So this brings, as I said, some great news. We actually have I think we're almost at 700 registrants, which is a record-breaking registration because we're able to do this online. So one of those silver linings that I think we can celebrate. So for those of you who are outside of the global health and international development sectors, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And I just want to say I'm personally really excited about the themes of this year's conference, and I hope you will all enjoy hearing the different perspectives on how creativity, connection, and diversity can really help us advance some meaningful public engagement on global health issues. So thanks, and over to you, Michael.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Julia. It's great to be with you. I get to share these co-hosting duties with you. And we were talking as we were planning that we wanted this to be conversational, that feel a bit like we were in a TV studio. We can't do that in person, but we're definitely going to try to do that this morning a bit more informally. We'll have some time of Q&A with some really amazing speakers and be presenting lots of different things. You're also going to hear a lot about resilience, how during these challenging times we as partners, as actors, as communities, we've all had to become more innovative, more creative, and making more connections between our work and the experiences globally and health and rights of people here in Canada. There's a real opportunity for us to talk about that. So that may be a theme that you should be listening for over the course of the next 3 days. Those connections have really created a lot of new opportunities by bringing in new ideas and diverse perspectives. And so I'm going to turn it back to Julia now. She's going to give us some really important technical notes so that you can get the most out of this online experience.
Thanks, Michael. And I feel like at the beginning of these, we always have these housekeeping notes, and it's kind of becoming like the new debit pin pad where everything is kind of the same and your objective is the same to participate, but it looks slightly different and you never know quite where to click. So on the housekeeping, we have a few notes for you. First, you can make your video view full screen by clicking on the button on the bottom right of the moving video image. You have this original, the landing page, so where you entered the conference. Don't close that original landing page because there's important links that come up and are all around. So even if you go full screen, make sure to leave that open. You can access from that original landing page. You should be able to access everything. So the app, the documents, the breakout session info, and more. And you'll want to be sort of referring to those throughout the next few days. You can also find details and links on the right-hand side of the Webcast Canada landing page. If you've expanded your video to full screen, you have to minimize it or minimize it, and then you can go back to the landing screen to see all the links there. On the top right-hand side of the landing page, there's a tech support button. This is maybe the most important button of all. If you need support, please, you can test things there. They have some troubleshooting, but you can also just send an email to support@Webcast Canada. I know .ca. I know it's that one extra click that you know, sometimes with tech stuff you get frustrated, but please be assured we have folks sitting there waiting for your questions, so don't hesitate to reach out. And you can also ask the organizers anything. I was in the app earlier and I saw the Ask the Organizers Anything banner there, and you can click on that. And again, we have people monitoring to try to make this as seamless as possible for a virtual event. Lindsay.
So as you've just said, Julia, we're really going to be taking advantage of the Global Health Impact Exchange event app. That's how we're going to stay connected over the next few days. So if you haven't actually joined the app, we really encourage you to do so. Each time you actually engage on the app, you can earn points. And those points, I guess, whoever reaches the most points can qualify for some great prizes. So a good, healthy incentive for engaging on the app. If you go to the app, you'll see there's general chat area where you can connect. You can post your comments and reflections throughout the broadcast, and you'll also see some really great community networking groups. So I was actually on it last night and noticed people already connecting and trying to set up meetings after some of these sessions. So really, really encouraging to see the use. So feel free to connect with like-minded colleagues, and also note that there's a dedicated networking session at approximately 1 p.m. and again at 2:30 p.m. today. If you don't know how to get to the app, you can find a link on the main page, and you can join either on your desktop or using your cell phone. You just need to download the phone app called Whova. And you'll need to use your email that you've actually used to register for this conference. So I know many of us have many emails. Just use the same one that you registered, and enter the code IMPACT 2021. Michael, over to you.
Yeah, I know that a lot of you are already been posting on social media about GHIX. That's not the most catchy title. Do you call it JIX? I don't even know. GHIX, the Expo, maybe is what I'll refer to it. But if you'd like to share and connect on social media, we would really encourage you to do that. Use the hashtag GHIX 2021. That's hashtag GHIX 2021. I already see a number of things coming through my Twitter feed. All of the CanWatch social media channels are listed on the main landing page of the broadcast for easy reference for you as well. Now we're going to talk about what's ahead today, but I'd like to remind anyone that hasn't been able to watch day one. Presumably you're watching this after the fact, and you recognize that we are recording the entire day, and it's going to be posted by session on the CanWatch website, and you can get recordings of by email as well.
Amazing. So we've got the app that we all need to get onto. We've got social media where we need to have a conversation. I was on earlier talking to someone on the app about how we need to recreate the water cooler. I think it was Adam from Plan Canada. So let's do that. Let's engage a lot in those two different spaces, because of course, this is a moment for us to have this conference and to be together as a community. But this is also International Development Week. So it's a moment that our community is supposed to be loud and proud about getting out into the world and promoting rights and equity and fighting for the things we believe in. So shortly, Lindsay, Michael, and I are going to be joined by Jully Black, Canada's Queen of R&B, and we're gonna have a conversation. We had a little bit of a green room moment, and I've already got goosebumps about what Jully is going to talk to us about and about the conversations that are going to unfold. But first, I'm really honored to introduce our first speaker, who will deliver a land acknowledgement. We are just so incredibly grateful to be joined by Yukon's foremost Indigenous artist. She's a traditional language champion, and she's going to provide the land acknowledgement. She is coming to you from her home community of Burwash on the very, very frozen lake, Clune Lake. DIYET will be with us to talk about the land that she's from, to open our conference in a good way. And I really encourage you all to check out a video that she just released, in fact, called Brave Face, celebrating the diversity and the beauty of the people of the Yukon. So with that, I will turn it over to DIYET.
Kuyajo, Thuan Man Keyi. ING DIYET Uye. Hi everyone, my name is DIYET, and welcome to the traditional territory of Kluane First Nation. Flu utla biana satna mayen earthly dinuia haya dajana si kei ken earthly dinuia haya flu utla Satna, my earthly dinuia, haya, dajana si kei, ken earthly dinuia, heya, heya, hoo. Shonithan, thank you so much. That song, a CKE, was made by my grandfather, my great-grandfather, Moose Johnson. And he says, you know, the drink is strong, but the love in my heart that I have for my country is immense. I just wanted to introduce to you the next song that you guys are going to see and hear. It's called Brave Face. This video is an incredible joy to make. I hope you enjoy it. Shonithan, Nanajishi.
From the deepest part of the living well. Well, don't fall. You may be broken now. We see the last coming way too fast, and we'll weep for every day we won't see. Brave face, hold on to your joy. To make you whole. Brave face, hold on to your joy. You're not alone here. When the gentle best leave the rest of us wondering if someone out there has a plan. Stay here, put on a brave face when you're left with a hole inside your soul. He'll mend in pieces but never be the same. Brave face, hold on to your joy. Hold on to the ones who make you whole. Brave face, hold on to your joy. Hold on to the ones who make you whole.
Thank you so much to DIYET. That was a beautiful land acknowledgement, and I thank you for joining us and opening our conference, as I said, in a good way. I'm now so very excited that Jully Black has joined us in our virtual studio. I see you there, Jully, and I just welcome you with the biggest, openest arms. Jully Black, of course, is a platinum selling singer, songwriter, performer, international recording artist, multiple Juno Award winner, Gemini Award recipient, and a celebrated television actress and author. We're just so incredibly privileged to have you join us here today at the GIHX. I think sometimes one of the silver linings of this virtual space is that we get to be joined by amazing people who are in their homes and joining us from those spaces. So Jully, I turn the microphone over to you. I'm so excited to hear from you and to hear your words. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you know, Michael, I like the Jix vibe. I think Jix is where it's at, for real. What a blessing to be here today. It's a super duper privilege. And I want wherever you are in the world, wherever you are, I want you right now to just feel the ground under your feet. Be where your feet are. Let's be present. Your presence is the present. Okay, lots going on in the world. We could focus on what we've lost, but I want to focus on what we've gained in opportunity. I want to focus on we are better together. And I want to focus on it takes but a single match to rid a room of darkness. And that match could be your smile. It could be a thought that we're sending all the way from Markham, Ontario to Kenya, to Nairobi, where I went and did a school build and met some great people who taught me about being a human being more than a human doing. Where I went to go do the work that taught me how to be, not Jully Black. They taught me how to be Julianne Indira Gordon. The person who I was designed to be since I was stitched in my mother's womb. It takes a single match to rid a room of darkness. So I want you to right now, everyone, to think about that light and turn your watts on 1,000 watts. And do this with me as I invite you into this eclipse. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. The songwriter said, let it shine, which means it's already available. Sometimes we think we have to do so much. But as we're here today, as one team and one dream, I want us to think about this. Imagine a life where you wake up every morning, loving your shape. And I'm not talking about skinny jeans shape, okay? I'm talking about the shape of your spirit, your health, your abilities, loving your personality, loving your experiences. Imagine that life where you wake up every morning and the shape of your family is intact. The shape of your workplace is intact. The shape of your service is intact. Why? Because you've gone through, on a granular tip, decided to look at, let me focus on my spirit. Let me focus on my health. Let me focus on my God-given abilities. Let me focus on that personality, that big laugh. You could walk into a room and actually get rid of all types of sadness and negativity by your big, bold laugh that somebody, some educator or somebody at your church or somebody in your family might have said, you're too loud. But that laugh is the healing ointment. That's the polysporin. That's what these children, these women and girls actually need, is to see somebody and hear somebody that's going to laugh because their joy bank is so full. They're so confident. Because confidence, write this down, is currency. Confidence is currency. So we're going through this COVID-19 came and this variant and that type of variant. And here we are, we have pivoted. And rather than focus on work-life balance, I want us to focus on work-life harmony. As a musician, I love to make harmony. When you bring notes together and they blend, they make a sweet sound. Plan Canada and World Vision and the Jicks, we all, Jully Black, Michael and Lindsay and Julia, we're making harmony. And all of you out there, we are creating a sweet, sweet sound because we chose to be here today. We decided, rather than sit back and say, I want to help, I don't really know what to say, we're going to do better. It starts with a decision to be here, be where your feet are. And so let's focus. Let's take time today to focus on a few things. I want you to write this down if you have something, that a pen or the app. Are you the thought or are you the thinker? Because if you are the thought, then those 60,000 thoughts that go across our mind like the DVP highway, I'm from Toronto, you're going to keep watching them ping pong, ping pong. But when you decide to be the thinker, you can replace every thought with a new one each and every day, each and every second of the day. You could decide, you know what, I'm going to replace that thought with a new one. Are you repeating a reaction to an old problem? Are you repeating a reaction to an old problem? Just some food for thought. Chew on that. And lastly, are you memorizing the memory? You see, this is the thing about memory. You know, experiencing grief and loss. My mom passed away a few years ago. And I realized that when I took the time to think about her presence not being here, then I would send myself down a hole of sadness. But when I was able to think about the memories, memorizing the good, memorizing the wisdom, memorizing the things that's going to serve me, I was able to create a new tradition. And this is the space I believe we need to dwell in as a community, as a world, to create new traditions in service. while we wait for the world to reopen, we could open up our inner space. It is intimate. I like to break down the word intimacy. Into me see. Inside, I want you to really look inside of yourselves and invite those who are close to you to have a look, because who I am today, I want you to meet me where I am. Especially those who are helping and around the world. And let's go on a granular level. I'm from the inner city called Jane and Finch, and there were times when different organizations would come to help at the Boys and Girls Club or various organizations. And I remember my mom, raising 9 kids on her own, always made sure that we believed and knew that this was a hand me up, not a hand me down. We're able to maintain and hold on to our pride and integrity that you're not defined by your circumstances. And everything is temporary. So what can we learn from those who are helping? What can we learn in being grateful? Because gratitude opens doors. Generosity and gratitude. They're husband and wife, right? And so it's important that we create a habit in service. And I want you to, if you have the opportunity, to take these down as well. This is something that I keep near and dear to my heart. Your habits determine your actions. Your actions determine your goals. Your goals support your purpose. Your purpose establishes your legacy, and your legacy feeds the world. Your legacy feeds the world. So ask yourself right now, what on earth am I here for? And just wait. What on earth am I here for? And when we're able to really think about that and have that, and kind of marinate in that question, immerse ourselves into that question, more things will start coming our way. For example, and thank you, Julia, for the amazing intro. Wikipedia says all types of things. All types. They didn't add that I got the twerk record. I could get low with them knees at 43. Okay. But what I could appreciate is that over time, I start to realize that all of those things which I'm grateful for are what I do and what I've done. It's the what. The what. But who are we? Who are we if you're not the president, the CEO, if you're not the manager, the director? Who were you before you became a wife? Who were you before you became a husband? Who were you before you became? That person that was stitched in your mother's womb, perfect, that was free from any sort of insecurities, free from any sort of competition-itis. That's an itis. Comparison-itis. Who were you before? That little child that would run around, didn't realize you even needed Pampers, just naked, just happy, free. The essence of who we are. This is what the COVID-19 pandemic, I believe, fundamentally has helped us to realize. That we went back to basics. And we're all able to now look face forward out and see and seize the opportunities that are there. They're not challenges. They're not challenges. Let's flip the word challenge and let's replace it with opportunity. Because that's what's there. Because one day we're going to have 1 second left on this earth. We're going to have one more breath. And in the most beautiful way, I wouldn't believe this would be something that would increase my strength and courage and peace in my life. But I was at my mom's bedside when she took her last one. And her last breath became my first. And this is why I'm here today with with the most love in my heart being this bridge big enough for everyone to cross. So I thank you for your time, because I would rather you take my money than take my time, because time is the most valuable commodity we have to offer each other. God bless you. And I hope to see you in this space and in person one of these days, masked up, gloved up. But most importantly, keep your light on. Keep your light on. The sun cannot decide not to shine. It shines every day. Peace. Thank you.
Jully, you've just silenced me. In honesty, it's up to me to thank you for just an incredibly inspiring. I think it was not even 10 minutes. I've taken 4 pages of notes, and I'm literally like, okay, which aspect do I want to speak about? I think I just first need to say I'm one of those people with an incredibly loud laugh that was always told to quiet it down. So I love the fact that you've now told me my loud laugh is a healing ointment. So I personally am leaving with that, because it certainly resonated with me, as did so many of your other comments.
Thank you.
And as I said, I've written them all down. I've got my 4 pages, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I love the fact that you've talked about, how COVID has brought us all back to basics. And it's really just demonstrated so much about, our need to be human and to be, who we are and true to ourselves. And I think what comes with that is, compassion and empathy for others. And, from my seat at Plan International Canada, we've spent this last year really making a call to Canadians to connect with that sense of global solidarity and global interconnectedness. And to me, it's about this sort of human connection, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So I wondered, I have 2 questions. One, I heard, and you just referenced it, that you have a tattoo of a bridge on your arm, and I just got a sneak preview. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what that represents. But I also wondered if you have any advice for us. I mean, you've got 3 CEOs here who are trying to really engage Canadians in a global cause, not just what they're experiencing personally here domestically, but also, trying to link their daily concerns and who they are and how they're coping with it to some of the realities of what's going on globally. And I wondered if you had any advice on that front for any of us, perhaps just to kickstart a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first, my bridge. So yes, I got this tattoo. I realized that being a musician and being an artist, like music is a connector. But beyond that, one day in particular, I had done this concert, and this man, like, I'll give you a straight visual. He was like 6'4", looked like he could be like Tom Brady, like looking guy, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, he came to the concert, he came to the merch table and bought my CD, and he said, I got married 3 months ago, and my wife died on our honeymoon. And I didn't know what to say or what to do. And I had a song I wrote for my sister, "Catch Me When I Fall," and it just blew my mind that he said, "This is everything you said in this song is everything I've been trying to say, and I just couldn't figure out how to say it." And that's when it dawned on me, like, to be the voice of the voiceless and be a bridge. Whether you're trying to go from fear to faith, whether you're trying to, you're unhealthy, you want to be healthy. I realize that I have that innate gift to make people really feel comfortable and trust me. And so that's my lot in life, to continue to be a bridge. It has nothing to do with chart numbers, and that's all out the window. Like, it's like, okay, the privilege of Jully Black brought me here, but I know I could use it for the greater good. And then as far as advice, to make this, to connect Canadians with, like, the global initiatives and what's going on around the world, I think that the more we see, like, we're in such a visual time of life. I think if you're able to connect, especially with youth ambassadors around the world, and start to really do, I really love each one, teach one. So it's generational. I think sometimes, it's very easy for us to, in our privilege, kind of swipe our visa and make a donation and just walk away. And it's not enough. We need to be able to invest time. And so I'm kind of old school in the sense of where we used to have like pen pals. Now it's like we could really connect. I remember I was leaving Kenya and there was a very emotional moment. And there's one of the youths, one of the kids that said, "Well, I talked to my friend that lives next door, but we talk on the internet. And so we're neighbors. She's my neighbor." I was like, "Yeah, you know what? That's it. Out of the mouth of babes." So we need to feel and really get to know that we are actually like we're neighbors. And share in vulnerability. I think what be really good, especially for you three as leaders and anyone else watching, is to be you guys become the faces. And I say that to say I have a saying. It's a prompt. You can write this down if you wish. If you really knew me, you would know. And when you answer that, like for example, for me, if you really knew me, you would know I was born a twin. My brother passed away 1 week after he was born. But the whole point is there are things that people don't know about us. And when they learn more about the leaders, they'll trust you more, and then they'll trust the organization more, right? And then the rest it continues. The rest is history. Yeah, that's my humble advice.
Well, that's great advice, Julie. And I want to just add my thanks as well. I love the fact that we're starting this 3-day session not focusing on the what, but you've helped remind us about the why. That this is a big picture. This is a huge endeavor. It requires vision and inspiration. So my question actually is linked to that. Over the course of the next few days, we're going to talk about how we can use creativity and art, storytelling, music, poetry in new ways. You're an artist yourself. You have talked about your voice, using your voice to advocate for change, to make a difference. I'm mindful of just most recently, the power that we've seen of Amanda Gorman, the poet at the Biden inauguration, unbelievable. Even yesterday at the Super Bowl, of all things. I know in day 3 we're going to be hearing from a poet from Kenya who's sharing. But tell me a little bit about your thinking of the role of an artist and harnessing creativity to help us make change.
Oh, I love that. That's a great question. Harnessing creativity. Well, one with the art, the first word in artist is art. And so I often say when I mentor artists, especially, that the art starts with the artist. So remember that. There's power in that. And we all have, whether we were scribbling, doing some etch a sketch, whatever, we all have an artist in us. But I think it's important that we find the art in everything that we do. So, for example, my accountant is brilliant, but it's art. I said to him, "You're an artist with those numbers." Okay. So it goes back to the mindset. And so I think that where we're able to use art as a language and as a translator, then now we could really come together. There's opportunities, for example, to do like virtual paint nights. So imagine there's a theme, but we're all painting the same thing. When we do something together and we start from one point and we actually get to the end of it, there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of community, and there's connection. So it's more than one. This is why I like to sing "This Little Light of Mine" or "Amazing Grace," things that everybody knows, we've all heard. So I think it's going to be important that whatever the pieces that are performed, there's going to be ones that are unique to the artist for sure, but it's always necessary to find something that's going to connect with everybody, because there is something, even if it is to answer a single question before you go into the event or after the session. Always have something that's going to be a call to action, a takeaway, something to think about. Otherwise, we're literally just watching a performance or watching Netflix. We're just on watching Netflix. And that's for me. Everything's got to be so intentional now. And then it's fun. And then you feel like you're actually a part of this quilt, this fabric of change. We are laying in the pages of history right now. People are going to be studying the time that we're living in well after we're gone. And so I often say to my mentees, like, if you were, I'm of the Christian faith, but like, if you were a disciple, what story are they going to read about you in this new Bible that they might write 100 years from now? What's your legacy going to be? How do you want to be remembered? And what breaks your heart the most? You want to find out? I'm passionate about this, as you can tell. You want to find out what your purpose is in life? Ask yourself, what breaks my heart the most? What breaks your heart the most might be juvenile diabetes. It might be that there's, people that don't have enough water, or, educate here and there, mental health. Whatever breaks your heart the most, you're going to be passionate enough to be a part of that change.
Hello, I'm so sorry. My power went out, of course, right in the middle of a recording. So I'm now trying to hold my phone still enough. Jully, I'm so full of questions. I'm like Lindsay, I was almost speechless. I want to talk a little bit. I mean, you talk about showing up in this sort of authentic self. And I think a lot of what we're seeing around us is people showing up in scarcity and looking around and seeing scarcity. There's not enough. There aren't enough vaccines to go around. There's not enough jobs to go around right now. They're sort of seeing the world through a lens of scarcity. What I heard from you and what I hear often through art and from art is this sort of sense of abundance and seeing the world through a lens of abundance and what is there and how much we have. And I heard that come out in your comments. I wonder if you can just offer us the artist perspective on this idea of looking at the world through a lens of abundance, because that's what we need as leaders of these organizations. We need people to step up and see all that we do have, not constantly referring back to the fear and that sort of scarcity landscape. So I wonder if you could just riff off that a little bit and share with us your thoughts.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Looking at the world through the lens of abundance. I love that. Scarcity versus abundance. It's a mindset thing for sure. What's helped me is truly looking at how much I've already gone through, things that didn't happen to me, but things that's happened through me. And through my experiences, I'm able to speak to the abundance and recognizing that pride will keep you scarce. Pride will keep you stagnant. I've never said this before, so I'm going to need this recording so I can get some nuggets for my next keynote. Pride, for real, it's like the mindset. I think about my family in Jamaica, who third world, I go and some of them are still in the bush, I'm not going to lie, like bush, serious bush, okay? But I go and there's this beautiful silence and they're eating off the land. And I'm like, I'm here worrying about Rogers and Enbridge, and they're there happy, full of joy and grateful. So in order to eradicate a scarcity mindset, we must replace the thought with gratitude. Gratitude and the power of I am. So if you really, anything you put after those two words, I am, will be magnified. I believe it. I've lived it. I could write a book about it. I am fat, you're going to manifest more of that. I am powerful and courageous. I am strong. I am giving. I am generous. I want to challenge everyone to spend 28, 30 days doing I ams every day, even just one. By the end of it, you will be renewed and restored. So to come full circle, not enough jobs, not enough. Why? Because are you trying to look for a job? Or are you trying to really now at 30, 40, 50, 60 be really step up on your mantle of your calling? What's my calling in life? What has been yelling, Jully, Lindsay, Michael, Julia? What has been calling you for so long, but false evidence appearing real, fear, has stopped you. False evidence appearing real, fear. It's all of that scarcity is rooted in fear. But let me ask anybody who's like, whomever you love the most. Let's say, for example, my sister's child, Chantel, who my sister passed away, so I raised her daughter. I could probably lift up a TTC bus with my pinky if there's going to be something that's going to be, be to the detriment of her life. All of a sudden, I got strength. All of a sudden, I got all this superpower because I'm ready to save this other person. Save yourself. What does it say on the airplane? Put your mask on your face first and then put it on the person beside you. Do it the other way around. Who's going down first? Okay. Anyway, I'm so passionate. I hope that answers your question even a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer to Julia's question. And by the way, Jully, I love the conversations around purpose and calling. One of my favorite quotes talks about the fact that that your calling is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. And when you can live in that sweet spot, you know, it's amazing. I just encourage all of us as we go through this, hold on to these nuggets of what Jully has inspired us today. Just try to find that moment where is it speaking not only to the things we have to do, but the joy that we find in the midst of all of this. So thank you, Jully.
Love that. Thank you.
I think we could keep talking for some time, but we do have to transition to some of the next pieces that we're looking at. But stay with us, Jully, because I know we're going to come back and have a chance to say thanks as well a little bit later on.
Okay.
One of the things we are talking about, and we mentioned this during this conversation with Jully, the role of art and creativity. Well, we're going to talk about some of that today. We're focusing on storytelling, and you're going to hear music and song and poetry over the course of the next little while. But I'm really pleased that I get to introduce a little piece now around the use of video storytelling and new ways of telling. And World Vision Canada has been part of this, as this is one of the things that we'll be sharing this week. Engaging with Canadians is a really critical element of the work that we do. It's even more important, I think, during this time of COVID. It's certainly something that's important to, you know, if you have a conversation for more than 5 minutes with the Minister of International Development, Karina Gould, public engagement is top of her mind as well. And so it's really critical. How do we invite Canadians to join us on our journeys? And how do we change the way that we're telling stories? Using it as an opportunity to learn, to listen, to have conversations about what's important. And we know that one of the most important ways of doing this is through powerful, very human stories. And so I just wanted to have the opportunity to share a preview of a documentary that World Vision's team has been doing over the past 5 years, walking with some remarkable women and their newborn children in Myanmar. Now, I know that Myanmar, now I can tell you that it's challenging to watch some of this because we know of the current situation that's going on there. And of course, we're very mindful of what that looks like. And we hope that the resilience that you'll see of these remarkable women will carry on. But what we wanted to do is to share a little bit about the work that we've been doing and it's been funded by the Canadian government through a program for maternal and newborn child health called Enrich. We're working in Myanmar. And we want to give a little bit of a sneak peek of a documentary that is going to be released on streaming platforms coming up called Pressure Baby. It traces the story of Zin. Zin is a woman in Myanmar. She's the central figure. We understand the life and death struggle about what it means to raise a family in a very remote part of Myanmar. Ultimately, though, it's a community story. It's a story of different perspectives to tell a complete story. And in telling this story, we've kind of changed the approach. You know, so often organizations like World Vision and Plan and many of you tell stories sometimes as a traditional hero narrative, where the NGO is kind of the protagonist, and we rally even in partnership, fighting together with the issue we're trying to solve as the antagonist. But the stories here are really letting the women that are participating, who are the real protagonists in this story, tell the story in their own words, because that's the way development really works. So World Vision, we're enablers, we want to support, but we have tried to model that in this new documentary series that we've been working on for more than 5 years. We don't have the whole documentary to show you today. It's too long for this time anyway. But our filmmaker and producer, Paul Beddings, and his team have put together a 15-minute kind of snapshot that we're calling the Women of Myanmar, introducing some of the figures that you'll meet later in the Pressure Baby event. We want to make sure that we are showing that tackling these complex issues of poverty and injustice, gender equality, fragile contexts, often the steps are not linear. It's messy. We need to work and struggle together, but it's through the resilience of women like Zin that you'll see that really will make a difference. So we're going to share that with you in just a moment. Before we do that, though, there's a very short a minute or two of Paul Beddings speaking a little bit about the project. We'll show the 15-minute clip, and at the very end, you'll see the short trailer for the full Pressure Baby documentary, which will be released very soon. So I invite you to take a look.
Hello, my name is Paul Beddings, and I am a photographer and storyteller that works with World Vision Canada. Over the past 5 years, myself and a team have been traveling back and forth to Myanmar, to the Enriched 1,000-Day Journey project area, to tell the story of Zin. Zin is a quiet but confident woman, mother and daughter who works hard every day to support her family, to make sure her daughter is well taken care of, and to support her community in any way she can. This was a multi-year story gathering experience. We went there about once a year for 5 years, and it's difficult, right? At the beginning, you don't know how the story is going to play out, but what you really try and do as a photographer, as a videographer, is just to stay true to the characters and make sure that the story you're telling is reflective of what you're seeing. So the first documentary is called The Women of Myanmar, and it is a prequel to a longer documentary that we've created called Pressure Baby. So please watch, enjoy, and share. Thank you so much.
The name Myanmar comes from the Burmese Myanmar, which means vast and strong people. But for most women here, they stay at home and do the household jobs. There isn't much support for the women to be educated here, but they are responsible for the overall well-being of the family. This is also for their access to health care, especially surrounding childbirth. Only 1/3 of women in Myanmar will be referred to give birth in a hospital, and only 1/4 of them will actually reach the hospital because transportation is so difficult here. It results in unnecessary deaths of both women and children. For me, it was different. My mother supports me to attend the school and the university, and she allowed to attend the many trainings, and she also allowed me to work everywhere I want to go. That it is very supportive for me. My hope for the women in Myanmar is to be independent, educated, and free to stand up for themselves, so that all of the people of Myanmar become strong. A lot of villages are hard to reach, and transportation is very difficult for the local people. We are working with the people to advance their knowledge and help develop the village. To get to this village, firstly we need to leave from Yangon to Patay. It takes 5 hours long, and then from Patay to Tawang it takes 1 hour, and from Tawang to the bank it takes 15 minutes by motorbike, and then we need to take boat and another motorbike to go to the village. Since they're so rural, they have very poor resources for medical or health counselor visits, and they cannot go to the hospital. Some children cannot reach for higher education. Some people are facing difficulties because of the harsh environment and challenging geographical areas. So everything seems difficult for many people.
ဆေးရုံတွေဘာလို့မတော်ဆံမအဲ့တော့ဆိုတော့လေဟိုအကြီးကောင်တော့73နှစ်ဆိုတော့နှစ်တရာလည်းတော့ခက်ကတိတ်သွားမဖြစ်လမ်းမဆက်သွယ်မှုတွေလည်းမရှိတော့ဒီမှာပဲတော့လက်တဲ့နေပဲထွားတာပေါ့ညတော့လဲဆိုင်တယ်အဲ့ဟိုအင်အောင်ကြီးလောက်တယ်လဲဆိုတော့ပြမေးသေးတော့မှာထိုးထည့်တယ်ပေါ့တော့တလဲနေမဟုတ်တော့ဇာပြင်းဆိုတော့ဇာပြင်းနဲ့ကိုသေးထည့်ရလိုအပ်တာပေါ့လိုအပ်ပြီးတော့မပြေတယ်တော့လေသူလည်းရှာဖွေနေကြတယ်ကမပြေစံတော့လေနေရတာပေါ့ဇာမိုင်းအဲ့လိုပေါ့တချို့ကျတော့လေလုံဝမ်းပြောင်းနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့လေကိုပိုင်းလည်းရှိတော့ကိုလည်းနဲ့ကိုလည်းနှေးရှိပြီးသွားတာလည်းပြန်ပြန်တော့ရင်းဝင်နေတာပေါ့အဲ့မဲ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးကောက်ထုတ်စားတဲ့ဘဝရများတယ်ချို့ကြတော့ဟိုကိုညာလေးတွေခြားထားကြတော့လေအချိန်ထဲမှာနေရတယ်ကိုစီးပွားရေးအတွက်ပေါ့နော်ချို့ကြတော့လေလက်ချမှုမျိုးမရှိတော့ဘယ်လိုခေါ်မလဲနေကောက်ပေါ့နေကောက်လိုမျိုးရဲ့ဘယ်လိုပြောလဲဘိုးစင်ပေါင်းဆိုတော့အမွေးနှစ်ပေါ့သူတို့ကတေးစီကတော့သားသမီးတွေလှုပ်စားဆိုပြီးတော့အဲ့လိုပေးခဲ့တာလေ
When I see the families living together in this village, I find that some are happy and doing well, and some are even doing good things. But not everyone is doing well. When I met Sin, I felt very sorry and sad because she has to work hard for herself and her family to get food each day.
Tên sẽ tốn nhỉ nhưng mà gì mà cô làm nhà này cô rồi lên mà cô gì thì mà cô gì nè thì mà cô rồi lên mà cô gì thì mà cô gì nè thì mà cô gì vào đấy sẽ mà đi một toa bia gì tất cả toa bia chỉ đâu tệ nhưng mà mình nhận lại toa này lại đi vui này thì vào đấy sẽ mà đi bia
တောက်ကြလေးတစ်ပတ်တစ်ခါကျန်ရတဲ့ညတော့ဒီနေ့ကတော့တစ်ခါမှတောက်ကြလေးတစ်ပတ်တစ်ခါလာပြီးထိုင်ပြီး
မစီကဆရာမတွေမရှိသေးလို့မဖွင့်လို့အိမ်မှာဝယ်မွေးမယ်ပူကောင်းလာဝယ်လို့လုပ်ပြီးဆရာမတွေဒီမှာသူတွေမရှိဘူးညကောင်းလာလည်းရှိတယ်
If my dream is to come true for women to be free and to stand up for themselves, they need to be supported and educated. They need to be full of knowledge about what is happening around them and all over the world. I want to help this change occur. From an early age, I always knew that I wanted to help the communities around me. I knew in order to do this, I needed to get an education, and I was fortunate enough to have the support to do that. But that's not everyone's story.
Okay.
အဲ့ဒါဘယ်လိုလဲဆိုတော့သူ့ကိုမွေးပြီးတဲ့နောက်ပိုင်းမှာဟိုကလေးမကလေးရဲ့ဆိုင်တော့လေသူ့ကိုပြုစုယူကြရတာပို့ပြီးတော့ဟိုကောင်းလဲမိခင်နဲ့ကတော့သားသမီး3ယောက်မွေးထားတော့တိလားကိုကရင်ထဲကပြောပါတယ်ဒါအကြီးကောင်ကဘယ်လိုသူ့ရင်မလဲဒါမွေးလို့နေဘူးလေတော့မစားနိုင်ဘူးသူကဖတ်ပညာပြတ်ပြောရဲစိတ်ကကွာသူကလုံးမစားနိုင်ဘူးလေရတဲ့ပြတ်အောင်ခါပေးပါဟုတ်ကဲ့သားသမီးတွေပေါ်မှာဟိုထားတယ်မိမမြင်တာကျမပြောမလို့ခန်းစားတယ်ရှိတယ်ကျမသားအကြီးဆုံး3တရားရှိတယ်လေဟုတ် လေးနဲ့သားမှာဆောင်းတော့ကျမနိုးစသားလေးကဟိုရှိရလက်ရှိပဲပြောပြတာပေါ့
ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့အခု World Vision ကဒီပေါ့နော်ဒီရက်ဒီဒူဒူတွေနဲ့ပူပေါင်းပြီးတော့မှလုပ်နေတဲ့အခါမှာပေါ့နော် World Vision ဝင်လာပြီးအခါသူတို့တိတိကျကျပြောင်းလဲသွားတာရှိတယ်။ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သူတို့ World Vision မဝင်ရဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သူတို့ဘာမှမသိဘူးပေါ့နော်။တက်ဆိုင်ရာတွေနဲ့သူတို့ဘာမှမသိဘဲနဲ့ဒီတိုင်းနေခဲ့တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီ World Vision ဝင်လာပြီးတော့မှသူတို့အသိပညာတွေပေးတဲ့အခါမှာသူတို့ကျန်းမာရေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့အသိပညာတွေသိလာတယ်အာဟာရအုပ်စုဘယ်လိုစားသုံးရမလဲဆိုတာသိလာတယ်သူတို့ရဲ့နေရာယူနေရတဲ့နေရာကိုလည်းသူတို့ပို့ပြီးမှတန်ဖိုးထားတက်လာတယ်
အဲ့ရမဝင်ခင်နဲ့အဲ့ရဝင်ပြီးနောက်ပိုင်းဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ရမဝင်ခင်တော့သူတို့ကလေးတွေအားရချွတ်တဲ့တာတွေကိုဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းသူတို့တွေ
မရတင်လာတော့ကလေးကိုဟိုကျမကြီးနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ကျွေးတယ်မွေးတဲ့နေရာမှာတော့ဟိုတန်ရှင်းမှုအကြောင်းတွေတော့ပြောပြတယ်လေကျမတမန်စားနေတဲ့စိတ်ကလေးကိုရှိခန္ဓာကိုယ်မှာဒီမိုးချိုတန့်ပြန်ပြီးတော့ရန်တော့ပြီးဖို့အဲ့ဒါမျိုးတွေကိုလည်းဆရာမညွှန်ကြားတယ်ကျမလည်းလိုက်လုပ်တယ်လေ
လိုက်လုပ်တယ်ဟုတ်ကဲ့
အဲ့လိုမျိုးလိုက်လုပ်ပြီးတယ်အဲ့ဒါမျိုးလည်းလိုက်လုပ်ပြီးတယ်ဆရာမဟိုသူနဲ့ဟိုမတင်တော့ဘူးဆိုရင်ပေါ့မတင်တော့ခလေးဒီနေ့တားလေးဒီနေ့တောင်းကြိုက်ပြီးပေါ့အစားအစာနဲ့ပတ်သက်မယ်ဆိုရင်လည်းမကြိုက်လို့အစားဘူးသူကမကြိုက်တဲ့အစားအစာဆိုရင်ထမင်းမှာပြောမယ်ဆိုရင်တော့စီးနဲ့စားနဲ့ကျွေးမယ်ပေါ့ဆရာမ
There is so much working against mothers here in Myanmar. Poverty is clear, but other struggles include transportation and most importantly, education. The women here don't have proper knowledge to make good decisions for themselves and their babies. There are many traditional teachings that get passed along because of this, such as you shouldn't sleep during the day when you're pregnant or you will have a difficult delivery. People with access to information would know different, but that isn't our truth here. We only know what we are taught.
ဒီကျောင်းတဲလို့ပြီးတော့အဲ့တော့ကြာသွားတာပေါ့နော်ကျောင်းတဲလို့ပြီးတဲ့တင်းတင်းမှာပဲကောင်းကောင်းမွန်လို့တာစားတာတူတူနေထိုင်တင်းတင်းမြတ်မြတ်နေတာတော့ကြည့်တာတွေ့ချင်တာပေါ့နော်ပြီးတော့လည်းသူကလည်းအခုနည်းနည်းလေးတော့အသက်လေးကကြည်လာတော့လည်းနည်းနည်းပါးပါးနားလဲလာမယ်ဆိုရင်တော့လည်းပို့ပြီးတော့ဟိုဒီပို့ပြီးတော့ခံစားရတာတော့နည်းနည်းဟောတာပါပေါ့ဟိုအရင်တော့ကလေးပဲဟာအခုကတော့လည်းနည်းနည်းတော်လာတာပေါ့စကားပြောတယ်နည်းနည်းပြောတာအရင်တော့ကဆိုအဲ့လိုမပြောတတ်ဘူးလေသူလိုပမာလို့တော့မပြောတတ်ဘူးညပမာလို့ဘယ်လိုခေါ်တယ်လဲသူပြောတော့ကင်းလို့ပဲခေါ်တာသူကကင်းလို့ပြောတာလေအဲ့လိုပြောနည်းနည်းစကားပြောလာတာအရင်တော့ဆိုပြောတာဘူး
I'm so sorry for saying that she has to suffer all of these difficulties in her life and in her life of her family. Learning that she can barely communicate with the world around her really broke my heart. This is why I work with World Vision so women can be educated in health awareness so they can take care of themselves and their children. We also teach about gender issues and to fight for their rights in their situation. We teach women to be independent and free, as all women should be. I am starting to see in pieces that this change can happen. It will happen.
It's said it takes a village to raise a child, but it's not always seen firsthand, particularly when adversity has a seat at your dinner table.
မကောင်းတာများတယ်အမေဖေတွေကလာအော်နေတယ်မအိမ်နဲ့တယ်အမေဖေတွေကလာအော်နေတာမအိမ်နဲ့ဟိုရတယ်လေသူအိတ်တဲ့ခါလဲဘာမှမပြောဘူးငကိုတော့ဆိုရဲနော်ကိုဝင်နေပါလိမ့်ရှိရမအိမ်နဲ့ကလေးတွေပါလေထွားတယ်ကိုကတော့ဘာမှမပြောတော့ဘူးကိုဝင်ရှိရင်ကလေးထွားမယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့မအိမ်ရကိုကသူတို့နေများနေခဲ့မယ်ဆို
ဂျီရဒီအဲ့တော့ဆက်လီနဲ့ပဲသွားလို့ရတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ခါကျတော့အခုကတော့သွားတာပြရဖြေနေတာပြရကြတော့မူလာတယ်ခုနကတော့နည်းနည်းဝင်ထားပါတော့
When people aren't granted access to an education, their knowledge consists of learnings passed on by family and community. These teachings vary within the realm of accuracy. That is, until someone says, enough is enough. Could that someone be Zin?
Thank you, Michael, and to World Vision for sharing that very compelling story with us and providing a sneak peek of the upcoming film release. You know, I always believe that the most powerful stories are those that are told directly by the people and the communities who are impacted by our programs. So, you know, to hear the personal account of the girl, you know, providing her perspective on the community in which she's living, I think will be really, really interesting and impactful for all of us when it actually comes out to see. And I also really appreciated the focus on girls' education because, as we all know, 11.2 million girls and young women from pre-primary to tertiary education are expected to drop out or not have access to school in 2021 due to the pandemic's economic impact alone. So we all know that investing in girls and their education right now is just so crucial. You know, in terms of disproportionality and those that have been severely affected by the pandemic, we've also seen that the pandemic has really exacerbated true inequity and systemic and structural racism. And, you know, this is not new. This has been a longstanding and harsh reality for years. But I think, you know, the timing after the increased awareness generated through the Black Lives Matter movement has really given rise to immense reflection around the world and here in Canada, from industry to government to private business to the nonprofit sector. We know systemic racism exists, I should say, everywhere, including the international cooperation sector. So I'm very pleased to see that our sector has come together to address the legacy of racial bias. And to this end, Cooperation Canada has convened an advisory group to articulate avenues of collective action towards a more anti-racist international cooperation sector. So the following video, which we will be showing, is perspectives on the anti-racism framework for Canada's international development sector. And it includes members from our sector sharing their thoughts on how a new anti-racism framework will provide common ground and build momentum for collective anti-racism action. So I will leave it at that. Over to you, or to whoever's showing the video.
The Anti-Racist Framework is a collective effort in Canada's international cooperation sector to acknowledge the ways in which racism has permeated the work that we do and how we do our work, and to take meaningful action to build a more equitable and just future.
Our sector has come together to express a joint approach towards efforts to build a more anti-racist international cooperation sector in Canada.
This advisory group, put together by Cooperation Canada, has been building a platform from which our collective approaches to anti-racism can take shape.
We have approached this work from a place of empathy.
But we also recognize that our sector must prioritize deliberately anti-racist shifts.
Not just diverse, not just inclusive, but actively engaged against systemic racism. We must be anti-racist.
We know that our sector, guided by international human rights declarations, values of equality, justice, solidarity, and sustainability, must continuously improve in investing in racial justice.
We have outlined a framework that reflects institutional commitments and accountability mechanisms.
We have a statement.
A task force.
A working group.
And measures of progress.
These instruments are not meant to replace existing or future initiatives.
They are meant to guide us towards minimum commitments that we can make as a sector.
And hold ourselves accountable to making progress towards these commitments.
Now we call upon everyone to lean into the uncomfortable conversations.
To examine our personal and institutional privileges and ability to enact positive change.
Embrace the destabilizing shifts that come with any real change.
This process is far from finished.
This framework is not perfect or final, nor is it our destination.
We invite you to sign on to the framework.
And to reach out to others to do the same.
This is just the beginning, and we can't wait to begin this work with you.
Are so grateful for the work of Cooperation Canada, and I saw a lot of friends on that video. So our colleagues in the sector who have really been digging in and thinking through this crucial and fundamental work for our sector. I applaud you, and we are, as the leaders of our organizations, of course, standing alongside you, beside you. And as Jully said to us earlier, allyship is action. So we're very excited to put the framework and its spirit, I think, into action. So I'm walking into this moment, into this on this ground that I'm standing, as you told us, Jully, to look down and feel where we are. And I'm walking into this moment super inspired by the conversations that we've had already, by that video. I loved the young woman as she says, you know, I can see things happening. It will happen. And just that, you know, a few words to sum up, I think, so many of our hopes from our organization's perspectives, from our human perspectives, that progress will happen, that the fight against poverty will happen, that we will move forward and not only, you know, slip backwards. I found that so powerful. So Jully, we've invited you into our sector. You have some experience, you've traveled, you understand us. Can I ask you for just your reflections? Tell us what you're feeling in this moment at this time.
Well, I'm feeling that I did like Diana Ross because I had a bit of a hair change. But aside from that, you know, as I took it in and watched and listened and feel, what really comes to me is projection is reflection. And really, you know, back to that inside job. So what we're going to project out there is exactly what's going to come back to us. And so oftentimes we might be projecting an old idea of ourselves, or an old cultural idea, or an old something that we've learned, some sort of learned behavior that we need to unlearn, so we can project that thing that's going to be the I don't like using the words right and wrong, but it's like good food versus right food. It's like it's gonna be that thing that's gonna connect. It's gonna connect. And when we connect, that's when we'll have impact, right? So projection and reflection. What you project is what you're gonna reflect. So let's take a moment and think about that, and really as we navigate this new normal, and we'll realize we have way more resources and way more tools in our toolbox to utilize, and that's way more relatable.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I see you've joined us on the screen. What about your reflections? What are you thinking about at this moment in time?
I'm actually laughing. I didn't realize I disappeared from the screen. I'm reflecting on the new normal. There's at least once a day where we put ourselves on mute or disappear from a screen. Yeah, no, like you, I'm feeling incredibly optimistic and inspired. And, I'm reflecting on this question of, are you repeating a reaction to an old problem? And, it really, for some reason, that one in particular is resonating to me, because it really is, a time to rethink, to be creative, to innovate, and to do things differently. And I think today's discussion on that front has really, really inspired me. So thank you. Thank you, Jully. I'm grateful that you joined us today, and actually really looking forward to your performance on Wednesday as well.
Thank you.
And enjoyed the little 1 minute rendition that you chose to share with us this morning. So yeah, all in all, I just want to say that I think, our joint efforts to highlight, our role in global health, and how we can, raise awareness with some of these new inspiring, spirited ideas is what it's all about. So thank you.
And let me add my thanks as well, Jully, for what you shared today. As a reflect just on the short time we've had together over the course of this, one thing that comes to mind, there's no way that I can coin a phrase like you do, but here's what comes to mind for me is that COVID closes us up. I think creativity and connections will open us up, and we need to be open to be able to think about how we're going to tackle the issues that are in front of us, partnering with incredible women and girls, and in the health sector, and all of us who are here together. So I just hope that all of us will get that sense of being opened up as we continue through the expo.
Can I say one thing? It's unorthodox to cut you. I know that we're not in panel style, but what you just said, Michael, it really just had something drop in my spirit that my mom left with me. And for me, she told me about the seed. And when you think about a seed that has to get planted in the cold, dark earth, that seed has to break open in order for us to even be nourished, in order for us to get food. That seed has to be by itself, and it's faith. We trust that the harvest is going to come. Imagine those farmers. So think about life as we're going through, and we're navigating, and we're planting seeds for the health sector and women and girls all around the world. It's like, okay, let's plant the seed, water it, nurture it, and then this is a word I want us all to take away. So we say the word represent, but I want us to break it into represent. Let's represent. Every initiative, every cause. Let's not do it the same every day. It could be represented every day as new.
That was a welcome intervention, Jully. Thank you again for being here. Thank you to my co-hosts for the day, Lindsay and Michael, and for your organization's partnership in the development of this amazing program that we have laid out in front of us over the next few days. You'll be back on Wednesday, I believe, with me to co-host, and then we are going to do something really fun in that we are going to pass over our mics as the CEOs of these organizations to some amazing young activists, advocates, and they're going to take over for us for the day. So I'm looking forward to that on Wednesday to close out the Global Health Impact Expo. We've got a couple things before we go to break for you that I'm really excited about. The first is a video. Nearly 20 years ago, our friends at HealthBridge, one of our member organizations, who really took up the issue of looking at Canadians' commitment to international development and humanitarian assistance, and looking at people who had lost their lives in that line of work, the heroes, the Canadians who had gone overseas to invest in solidarity and were taken. So last year, HealthBridge and CanWatch undertook work to revitalize awareness of a monument that was built through HealthBridge, the Canadian Red Cross, and the Canadian Nurses Association. We wanted to bring that back to life. We really pictured this moment where we would all stand around the monument in Ottawa at a conference, and we would have a moment of silence. But we've pivoted, and we want to take that moment here and now. So you're going to see a video about that. And then right before we head into break and into our breakout sessions, when I'll come back, we also have an amazing performance by a Pakistani artist, Natasha Ejaz. Art and creativity is the basis for our themes today. And this artist burst onto the Pakistani pop scene in 2011 with Right Way to Fall. And ever since, she's been delivering her unique brand, and I love this, of mischief music. I just loved that turn of phrase in her bio to the Pakistani listening community. So she's been working on this for over a decade. So you're going to see the video, you're going to hear the performance, and then I'll be back to give you some technical details on some amazing breakout sessions. Jully, Michael, Lindsay, thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple of days.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
You can find reflection where the Rideau River and the Ottawa River meet. A monument to recognize Canadians providing international aid. A monument to honor Canadians who gave their lives while pursuing the ideals of humanitarian work. A monument to remember Tim Stone and Nancy Malloy, and all those who have committed themselves to creating a better world. The Canadian aid workers that we honor were all leaders, great of heart and graced with compassion, fighting relentlessly for the dignity of each human life. Unveiled in 2001, Reflection is the work of Nova Scotia sculptor John Greer. The benches, a single bed reflecting on its twin. The bridge representing the loss and gain, the journey of international aid work. The two bronze feathers represent the human component of the work, one the individual and the other the remembered sacrifice of all aid workers. Devoted to human interests and above all, concerned with the human condition. During the unveiling of the monument in 2001, the Governor General said the following, and it still rings true today. Canadians are among the most fortunate people in the world, but we are only fortunate if we act to protect and live by the very ideals which lay the groundwork for such good fortune. It doesn't come by standing aloof and indifferent. It doesn't come as a matter of simple inheritance or by being born into it, but only if, as the art of this monument symbolizes, we identify ourselves in others. The next time you are in Ottawa, we hope that you will visit Reflection and pay tribute to the work Canadian aid workers have done for centuries and will continue to do for centuries to come.
Hi, I'm Natasha Ejaz. I'm a singer-songwriter and music producer from Islamabad, Pakistan. The lockdown here started the weekend of back-to-back tours for me, causing me to pivot literally overnight and find my way back to my family. Performance is my lifeline, and without it, I feel incomplete. not knowing what to do with all of my passions, I turned to the only outlet I did have, online streaming. From singing on Instagram Live to writing comedic skits for Facebook, I found my heart was coming alive one video and one share at a time. Before the pandemic, I never realized the value of entertainment. Thousands of people, equally confused, equally worried, equally disturbed, found some release in what was just really my release. And I learned that you and I, no matter how big or small, can actually make a difference, even if it's in just one person's life. When suffering is this universal, we heal through community. I hope that we can continue to live meaningful lives despite our hardships and find in ourselves the strength to make someone else's life just a tiny bit better.
हम भागे हम दौड़े हम जाने चले हैं कहाँ ये राहें दिखलाए एक नई दास्तां हम देखे न देखे ख्वाब यहाँ हम जाने न जाने इस दिल की जुबान जिंदा तुम भी थे जिंदा हम भी जीने की हसरत से रही बातें तूफान यहाँ भी था मोटा सा जान लगाने की दीवारी जो ना था ना रहा हम भागे हम दौड़े हम जाने चले हैं कहाँ हम जाने न जाने इस दिल की जुबान पररारुम दे पररारुम दे पररारुम दे